I'm Brandy Henry, and I am the body braid educator slash bendy spoony expert of the team at this point in time. And with me today is Dr. Blair Voy. I can do this. Voy.
Voyvodic,
I
and I'm the
I know it
creator of
doesn't.
Body Braid.
The inventor, creator, genius mind behind the body braid. And I'm really excited to be doing this. This is going to be so awesome. So, Doc, I wanted to just a real quick, you're Dr. Blair. So, I mean, what's our background that we're starting with here? I know that you were a general practitioner in Canada. Is that
So
is
yeah, I've
kind of
been
how it works?
definitely a generalist. I work in remote areas, so
Mhm.
my mission has been to provide care where it's needed the most. And a lot of that has been out in remote areas. And out in remote areas, you do everything. So I'm in an area where when I was doctoring, I've retired now, but for 40 years, uh, everything that happened between birth and death at some point you're
Yeah.
dealing.
I'd say I kind of like that though, because kind of feel like there's something missed these days in the separation. I mean, it's good to really be good at one thing, but I feel like there's too much separation and a lot is lost
There's a
in the
huge amount of
medical
separation.
system these days. And so you're based out of Canada in the Toronto area, and that's where Body Braid
No.
is based out of.
So Body Braid is actually made in Toronto in various different parts of Toronto. I live in the north of that. So Toronto's my city, but I live out at the end of a dirt road outside a little village of 600 people. And between me and the North Pole, there basically not much human anything.
I'm not
I
gonna
live
lie,
in the
makes us all a
wilderness.
little jealous. But at least know geographically in general gives us an idea for our listeners where we're based out of. I myself am currently based in the United States. I currently live in the state of Kentucky. So I'm in the southeastern area of the United States for those of you that are not American. And we do worldwide, basically. So we have people that work with us all over the world in various aspects. And it has definitely enriched, I feel, our experience. But back to the beginning, how did this happen? Like, what idea sparked, what was the thought of like, I'm going to create something that then became this beautiful thing in the end? Like, we just sat down one day, like, you know what? I'm gonna wrap
Where
myself
did
up in
this
bungee
thing come
cord.
from? It has definitely been an organic process, a creative process. It's something that I developed for myself and on myself over time, and it had several elements. Um, One is the doctor side, is that I was very aware when I was seeing people aches and pains and all just kind of stuff that people end up thinking I should go and see a doctor for. There's a fair bit of that that's the muscular aches and strains. It's really about biomechanics and how people have moved. And sometimes that's an instant accident or something that happened, or over time, the way they move. And that part of the biomechanics really interests me. I dance a lot. I like being physical, and that I'm I'm always curious and learning about that. So these various themes, the dance and creative movement, especially contact improv, um, from the doctor side, realizing that if people could get so that they're even just paying more attention and more embodied in their movement, they're much less likely to strain themselves, and almost everything works better. Our bodies are just more efficient. And I knew early on that I would have loved to have been a dancer and performed, but I'm a complete klutz. You know, walking across the room, I'm gonna stumble into something, and that my body does not have that natural grace, and as much as you can develop it, some of us just really have to struggle with it. So this combination, realizing that I started having a whole bunch of, I had back pain starting in high school and all kinds of aches and pains myself that I had to deal with. As a doctor, trying to learn things and realizing that most of the standard recommendations didn't work for me. Sometimes they really backfired, especially things about needing to stretch and open things up and relax. And every time I do that, I'd go, no, for me, everything gets worse. So a lot of this drive, trying out different things. I had broken my collarbone a couple times as a kid, and then as an adult, I realized that I still had this sense of just, I did remember this brace that opened up my chest, and I started looking around for it, and it's actually not easy to find, and there are various things, but nothing really worked. So again, playing around with things. This also combined with this real fascination about aerial, about lift, about what happens. I, as a kid, what do you want to do when you grow up? Helicopter pilot. Just that whole idea, just being able to
Want to
lift up in
fly.
the air, just want to fly, flying dreams I would have often. Um, so he's also playing around with trying to get that both something that you could wear that would help open things up. But then I started suspending and started with suspending inner tubes and what it's like to hang from that kind of stuff. Um, and went from inner tubes, bungee cords, started to realize these wide bands that would distribute the force. The idea with the lift was how to spread out the lift. So you're not lifting one part of the body, you're lifting all around the body at the same time so that you get this the counterbalance of gravity, you get the uplift, but so that it's really even and you could get this phenomena of literally floating in air. Of the same way that water makes us really buoyant, I wanted to be buoyant in air. So playing around a lot of these things, most of this came around with these bands spiraling around the body. And I have developed what I call the flying contraption, which is this really fun jolly jumper for adults that lifts you up and you get to swim in the air. And then out of that, realize that that whole arrangement of straps, even if you disconnect it from the full uplift, is what has become the body braid, is this wrap around the body that's just holding everything together. So there's the history of the mechanics and the being a nerd and starting in physics and doing physics research and a doctor and bringing all these things together. That has become now the body braid that is simplified into the core for the core part of the body, and then these additional spirals, braiding spirals you can wrap around legs and arms.
That is so cool. You took the sense of just kind of freedom and joy of that weightlessness and lift and openness and found a way to walk around with it. I gotta say that's pretty dang impressive, Doc. When people ask me, did you? No, no, I did not create this. My brain is not that fascinating. Not
Well,
that fascinating.
nobody else's brain is quite like mine, as
Like
I
that's the
the
beauty of it. Like
part of the superpower
it's
of being neurodiverse. Yes,
it
yes, yes.
is incredible. And honestly, I
So let me go on with making the link now, and maybe a next question. So then once this thing is there, and I started to feel like, wow, this is really cool. And I show it to some people and like, especially dance and movement and
Mhm.
stuff like that, um, that other people started to be interested. The fascinating link coming back to the doctor's side and the medicine and the treatment is that it was really, so it started with dance and yoga people who were really into it and wanted and used this, especially became a yoga prop. But what happened was that once we started putting pictures online, a lot of people were suddenly writing and saying, wow, whatever that thing is, I look at it and I can tell that's what my body's really craving. This just sense of a
It's almost
whole
an instinctive recognition.
is a visual link, which was part of a sort of light bulb moment of going, oh, well, that's what the world has become. We've all been now on these screens and looking at images, but you've got this vast array to realize this is tapping into something through that visual recognition that allows people to feel something in their body.
Mm.
So the fascinating thing is a lot of people were writing and then a lot saying, oh yeah, this really helps with my hypermobility. And so that
Oh,
tapped me into the whole EDS world, which is very online and very organized, especially the EDS society.
Because you
So,
don't have EDS yourself, but you are hypermobile a bit.
so I do not have EDS, and I do
Yep,
not have, and as you know, even what is EDS? EDS is a
true.
constellation of
That's
things.
the question.
For some people, if you have enough of us of this constellation, it's severe enough, it clearly is becomes a label that says, yes, this has reached a complexity and a severity where this is different from other things. So I consider EDS to be the most comprehensive and the most severe of symptoms related to connective tissue. And that's why there's a whole lot of different genetics around it. There are some commonalities, but they're very different types. But it's all related to what happens with our connective tissue, especially through that protein collagen. So, like most things in health and bodies, there's always a range. And
Mhm.
while EDS is the end of that range, it's the most severe. It's pretty clear that about 15% of the population, and there's lots of research to show that about 15% of the difficulties that people have around pain and what's happening, especially with the whole constellation of things that are sort of milder versions of what happens with the full-blown EDS. That's a much, much larger population that where none of that gets identified because it's not the norm. It's not the
Not,
85.
it's not loud enough to be spotted,
It's
but
only
it's
the
still,
15%.
yeah.
Right. So this is where there's a range. And I consider myself to be connective tissue deficient, collagen deficient, that I just things don't really match up. They don't, too many,
Mhm.
too easy to cause problems. Certainly now that I work with a lot of people with quite severe EDS, I realize how severe this can get. And I'm very grateful that my connective tissue works as well as it does. I do everything I can to take care of it. But this has brought me into the world of both realizing, oh, this is why I developed for myself. Like I have
You
enough
instinctively knew
connective,
that there was needed.
I could feel it in my body. And that's where this was a very sensate, intuitive development. Is
Mhm.
that any idea that I would have, I would literally put it on my body and see how that felt over time to then go, oh, my body's saying close, but I think you want something a little this way or that way. And that was all the research and development.
Mhm.
So
To
that
be
was
honest,
that
that's what I kind
combination.
of, most of the ways I wear the braid are through physical experimentation of, let's
Totally.
try this and see
And the
how
more you
it
do that, the
feels.
more then you are actually learning. It becomes a learning tool, which is when it's the most valuable. So
Yeah.
it came full circle. So as a doctor, I was seeing all these problems and trying to figure out various ways that are going to be helpful. At the same time that I was developing this in a very personal way for me around what my own body needed around movement. And then once it went public and started to be seen, that's when the EDS community latched on and said, hey, we found something that we really need. So I've learned a lot about where all these different things in my life and health problems, and some that have been pretty severe, all started to make sense when I realized, oh, okay, I may not have the full severity of EDS, but I have enough of this that
Mhm.
a lot of things make sense now.
Yeah, you can still see the tracks, the trails and connections.
Yeah. And how much it has been ignored in medicine
Yeah.
is that it's the whole notion of what's happening with connective tissue literally has just had almost no attention. And so it's not a paradigm. It's not a model of understanding, even in orthopedic surgery or even physical therapy for that matter. Physical therapy more than other things, but it's still a very sort of, they understand muscle and muscle contraction, but there's very little understanding about this connective tissue. What is it that's holding everything together? And
Even,
that's what
even
Body Braid fundamentally reinforces the function of our connective tissue from the outside. So the people that need it the most are the ones whose function of their connective tissue isn't really doing the job very well.
Even though you like subconsciously develop this for the bendiness and that needed support for your collagen, it's not just for people that are bendy or have deficiency in collagen. You made it with a much broader purpose. We just kind of maybe found it, stole it, so to speak.
Well, the EDS, I mean, the very nature of EDS and seeking out the community and getting this diagnosis is because this is a huge deal in your life. This isn't
Yes.
just a, oh, occasionally my back hurts and I got to go see
Mhm.
somebody and I try to get it better. It's like, no, this is a huge deal. Has created this network of communication that is the zebra universe.
Yeah.
It's that
But
that
we
that
dazzle.
really has become a community.
Mhm.
Um, and like a lot of things, I realize, oh, I do fit into this community. I don't have the label. And I've seen where a lot of people, they kind of struggle with what type of EDS or do you have an
Mhm.
official diagnosis or none of that really matters in terms of, oh, if this information and this understanding about bodies is helpful for you,
Yeah.
you're somewhere on the spectrum.
Yeah.
So there are some people, I'd say it's about uh, a minority of the people, but they're definitely probably a third of the population. When they put on the body braid, they're like, well, what's the point? I don't get it. They're like, their connective tissue is so strong. And so tight. They're the ones that really do need to stretch. So they would want the opposite. They want an antibody braid. They'd want to put on something that would pull them apart. Those of us that are too loose, we want that hold together. So it's where it's not made for everybody. It's very popular in EDS, which is a very small percentage of the population. Where I think there's huge potential is for desk workers because it improves the biomechanics and the postural alignment so much in sitting that even if you're in that normal range of connective tissue, most people sitting at a desk for a while get uncomfortable. And
Yeah.
Body Braid extends the time and the value of comfort and good alignment without having to think about it, without having to stop and do exercise or anything.
I've learned through my various years of various fields of medicine and physical and massage and everything else that being inactive and being just today's society overall, you don't have to be actually hypermobile to have all that laxity and weakness and all those tissues and all that fascia that then increase your chances of injury and then the discomfort and the pain. And I have had several people that I've helped with the body braid that didn't have EDS or weren't hypermobile in any like identifiable sense, but either because of some other underlying weakness or injury, they had that need for that strengthening and support still, even if it came from a different source, like arthritis or what was another one? Oh, somebody had whiplash, really, really strong whiplash, and this really helped kind of stabilize things while they were healing, just as a side benefit that they weren't even thinking about.
Well, another way of looking at it is that it's, again, there is this spectrum across the population, and there are tendencies. So, the same way that EDS symptoms tend to show more with age and with growth,
Mhm.
same thing. Babies inherently have a lot of connective tissue. We all lose both the amount and the quality, the resilience, the bounciness of connective tissue over time. So if you live long enough, everybody will have connective tissue symptoms.
Makes sense.
It's
It's like
part of
a
the
bone
deal.
density or something like that, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Another question.
So how, I know that this has been obviously a long transformative journey as it goes. How long has this journey taken you? Like how long have you been creating and working on and
So
designing and
so I actively started thinking that this image and this yeah, it was literally a sense inside was something I wanted to actually make into something was about 30 years ago, which is about the time that I moved to this village where I've been based. Um, and part of the practicality was in a place with a big barn. And so
Mm,
that sense of just a big open space that you can work with. So 30 years of working on that, and most of that I was my day job was doctoring in the clinic. And so that combination of trying to take this playtime um, activity that I was exploring and seeing how I could link that to what's going to be helpful for people with their
mm.
sore shoulder right now. That's been 30 years.
Wow. How has
We
it
got
been
to the place
available to
of
like other
being
people to learn about?
so it was in 2014 that I hooked up with a friend who's a dancer and had been a dancer teacher for me, and she really loves this, and um, that was enough encouragement to think, okay, let's put this out there. So there was started a website in 2014, um,
Mm.
and the website literally within months started to focus a lot on hypermobility. Um, there was an original version of the body braid that was a very simple thing, but very complicated to learn how to put on.
Okay.
So it took the first 5 years of really trying to help people learn that version and realize, nah, that's just intrinsically too complicated to come up with now this system that has the core where the most complicated part of the braiding pattern is sewn into the product and that goes around the back that you don't see. So
Okay.
that this notion of this thing that you slip on like a jacket and gives you the
Mm.
basic, then you learn the braiding to go on from there. So that was um, so that was around 2019.
Ooh,
Um,
just before the
and
pandemic.
just before the pandemic. And then that was also 2019 was the first EDS conference that I went to in Scotland. Um, so that's when the core and the current version of the body braid was created and it went to the EDS clinic. And I give Stacy Simmons of the EDS Society a lot of credit because she pulled off a brilliant conference that was just really inspiring in a lot of ways. But also, as somebody who was really busy with things in the last 5 minutes, she finally had time to try it on and she put it on and she said, "Oh, yeah, this is it. This is what I'm looking for." And she became a big fan. That was just a lovely pulling together of, okay, this is a real thing. It's out in the world now.
Validation
The
there.
people that it works for, it really works well. This is worth carrying on. And boom, the pandemic hit.
And you've been busy since.
Well, it's the whole world has been thrown into so much.
Yeah, insanity.
It has changed in many ways. It's really great now that things are coming together. We have this great team that's coming together. The supply chain issues that were a huge deal from the start of the pandemic until this last year are all settling into place. So the word is getting out there. It's really
Yeah.
encouraging to see how much this is has spread completely grassroots. We have never advertised, we've never done anything to pitch or to try to quote sell this.
Mhm.
All been word of mouth of people telling their friends and making recommendations.
That's
Um,
how I found it online. I was coaching at the parkour gym last night wearing my braid for support, and I had a lady come, "Oh, I like your hair. Number two, is that the body braid? I'm jealous." I'm like, "Well, I happen to be the body braid educator." And but like out of nowhere, like this, I normally don't teach this day. I was filling in for somebody. I've never met this parent before. And they saw it and recognized it. And they're like, "I've been looking at that." And that has happened to me more times than I can count. From here to when I was in California to Nevada, it's incredible. But those that even if they've never seen or heard of it before, they look and they're like, "That
it's a
supports your
thing.
joints, doesn't it? That holds you up like that. Like I can feel it just looking at you. I can feel it. Like that's gotta feel good." And I mean, that's how you know you got some potential to get some benefit from it, from almost everywhere I go when I'm wearing it. And it's really cool to kind of be a part of that experience. And I know that we've gone through many versions, so to speak, of the braid since you started. You had the very first one, and then you kind of did the big design overhaul where now it's all sewn up in the back. And then even then you've gone through a lot of material changes because it's not bicycle inner tires and tubes anymore. How did you come up with this blend of material? Like
So
this is some
the
strong
material,
stuff.
yeah, and the material has had quite an evolution. Initially, I had been working with bungee cords and inner tubes, which have their own piece, but it was an idea of, on my part, of realizing that if you can widen out that spread so that you have this lengthwise elasticity, but you keep it smoothed out enough so that it can move around things, I went searching for. And at the time, I managed to find the last mill in Canada that was, there's apparently mills, there's a whole kind of mill and manufacturing that happens for fabric and large things, but narrow band elastic, this kind of elastic is dedicated mills where that's what they do. So there was the one available in Canada, and unfortunately it was near Toronto, and I could hook up with them. And so we came up with the original band to start making this and go into production. Um, and then over time, wanting to evolve that, and initially it was only available in latex. And because of the latex concern with allergies, I really had to push. So that took a while for the whole field to change until the spandex technology came in to be able to develop. So by again 2019, we had gotten the better band, and then that mill, unfortunately, the way most production has gone, that mill closed. So I was scrambling, took several years to find both a new mill, um, and to get them to understand these kind of human tissue qualities. So finally, I have found a mill in North Carolina and went to visit them. And I was fascinating because it's also quite an international dynamic that goes on. So this mill that is only dedicated to weaving narrow band elastics, but is still a large production, and they have a narrow band elastic designer who is from Turkey and trained in Switzerland, specifically in the field of how do you design narrow band elastic.
Because you need to keep strength and elasticity and longevity. And I
So,
mean, there's a lot that goes into it.
so I went to North Carolina and I met with these people. And so the translation has to go on because the designer only speaks Turkish. And so he's got to translate through his wife to be able to translate into English for the Italian company
Mhm.
that is actually manufacturing these things.
Give that
So
woman an
between us
award.
and the talk and being able to sort of show and feel and deal with translations, we designed the current band material. Um,
Yeah, because it is surprisingly strong for how stretchy it is. Usually, if you're going to get this much stretch, you're not going to get much strength. Or if you're going to get that much strength, it's
this
not
is
going to stretch much.
incredibly strong.
It's really
So this is
unique.
one concern. This is the band itself could lift an elephant.
No
And the
way.
fundamental thing that I try to encourage
Actually
people to
believe it. I
realize,
do.
it's why you do not want to struggle with the bands. If you
Mm,
start fighting with the bands, they are going to win. These bands are much, much stronger than
mm.
human tissue can possibly be.
I
If
speak
you
from
acknowledge
experience.
that and you let them do their work, but realize how strong that is,
Mm.
yeah, it's the band's very strong. Okay,
Yeah.
next question.
It's been just yeah, so awesome. And so we're still waiting to kind of see because I get a lot of, well, how long does the material last? Do you have like a warranty of this many years? I mean, what am I like? What is my life expectancy of my body braid? We're still kind of waiting to figure that out because
Well,
it's
and there is again, there's been different evolutions, and we'll see how
yeah.
different band material. The band material itself is quite durable, and it is part of the design is realizing of how it's going to wear over time. Is that it
Mhm,
should get softer and better able to wrap around things. Um, the main vulnerability is the Velcro. The Velcro
yeah.
itself definitely has limitations, and if people just kind of slap it on and it gets hairs in it and everything, that is the part that wears out the most. The band itself
Um,
is quite durable.
And you didn't just get like any old Velcro. Like this is some serious Velcro.
This is the top.
This is the
This is the
stuff will
top
take your skin.
actual Velcro brand. It is the top quality that they make. Um, but it's yeah.
You know what though? I need that hold though. I need that strength to know it's not just gonna pop off because this is like dollar store Velcro. I mean, it really does make a difference. And so I know that since I have found it and come on board just in the last few years, my wearing an evolution of the body braid and how I wear it now and it has changed drastically. And part of it is specifically it's my job to do so. Find new ways to wear the body braid. Physically experiment and find how this can help somebody that may have this particular issue. But I've noticed from when I first met you and to today, you seem to wear the body braid a lot differently. What is your personal evolution with the wearing of the body braid
Oh,
experience been like?
that is an interesting question because I'm still shocked at how much it changes. And
Doesn't
I'll
it?
think, oh, I finally 30 years, but now I figured
Yeah,
out,
like
oh,
you got this
this
figured
is what
out?
I've been
No.
eating. And then within like, I think I want to, and then so constantly evolving. I definitely have never settled into any one particular. Um, for what's also been happening in my body, the arm braid that does do a specific function is
Mhm.
something that I have pain when I'm not wearing the arm braid. When I put it on, the pain usually goes away or at least improves. That the arm braid has become, there are some things that for me are kind of like underwear that I just
Mhm.
like, I get up and get it in, you put on your different clothes and you put this on. And so the arm braid I do wear a fair bit. Um, the main thing for me is that if I'm going to sit down at my desk and or that I move around,
Yeah,
definitely
you're a mover. You don't like to sit.
ADD. I do not stay still. That's where, the connective tissue thing. I know that's where I'm a zebra.
It's
I'm
the wiggle jiggle because
always
you
the
need
wiggle
to. That
jiggle.
fidget's necessary.
So there are times when literally I will sit down at the desk for under 60 seconds to do something or other. But if it's going to be any like, oh, right, I'm going to sit down to go through email, or if it's going to be more than 2 minutes, I definitely try to remember to put on the core braid, slip on the shoulders, slip it over the knees. And that's where I keep that right by my desk chair.
Mhm.
Those two things. If I general wearing, the arm braid is on a fair bit, but the main thing for me is the core at the desk chair. Um, because I also know I will get a lot more work done. I'm amazed that
It's
without even
amazing how
kind of
much
thinking that's the
more
plan.
focus.
But it's just exactly. Otherwise, I'm so quick to jump out of that chair that I realize after I've gotten out and walked away and went, oh, and that's just because you were uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like, no, get
There's
back
just so
here.
much
You got work to do.
static going on with the body that
Yeah.
it's just, and it's not even at a conscious level for you to really be aware of all the time. But it's so when that silences, it's it's really incredible.
It's sweet, and it opens up this opportunity to for your attention to be more
Yeah.
where you want it to be. These are some of the kind of interesting links
Yeah.
with what feels good, what's pleasurable, what do we enjoy. I really like the fact that body braid can help with problems, can help
Mhm.
for some people with pain, can help with, I had this problem I needed to get rid of, and this helped me have less of that. That's the whole
Mhm.
problem medical approach to things. But it's got this just as valuable part that's the, oh, I like this feeling. It wasn't really a problem before, but oh, I want more of this. This is the sweet, this is the health promotion, this is the pleasurable, this is the that you don't find anywhere in medicine.
It's
Quite
not
the
as strongly targeted, but I almost feel it's more valuable because that's what's missing.
this
And
is what's
for
missing.
almost everybody, that's what's missing. And I feel like Jasmine from Aladdin, it's a whole new world.
Yeah.
When I first get to sit, I'm like, wow, like,
Oh,
whoa. And because it really is because I felt that I knew it wasn't curing my herniated discs, but I felt like it gave my body space to heal on its own. It gave it a breath It said, let me take some of your work for you a little bit. You
Right.
know, it was like that helping hand, that invisible helping hand that you need
Yeah.
from the inside out.
So there is a key concept with that I'd like to talk about, which is this the way that it has some of the advantages of what Western medicine and scientific medicine has developed very strongly, which is this problem management. How do we address what's the problem and what do we do to have less of the problem? But the real limitation of medicine is that in that process of randomization and trying to get everything for generic and for everybody, it has intentionally done this whole double blind. Let's intentionally ignore what the person is experiencing. What's the feeling? What's the quality? What's this? How does this affect your sense of being and your wellness and who you are and all of those things? So it does, I've tried to draw on the advantages of that Western medicine. And at the same time, I am a human being. I am a very subjective, very sensate, very experienced, very emotional human being. And so my whole approach to medicine was always try to help with the doctoring part, but also the human support and the care. And I'm very pleased and proud that Body Braid has been able to do those. That I think it does have some things on the straight technological scientific side that I hope get explored in more ways. I think there's an incredible
A lot of
potential
potential.
of what now being able to have an external fascial support system of
Mhm.
where that can go. But on the other side, this is the creative, artistic, the real value in the way that it's gotten out there and how grassroots spread that we want to now keep propagating
Yep.
is entirely this sensed, felt, oh, I want to tell my friend because I'm so excited. It's the things you were just talking about with this sort of like, wow, this is
It's a
like
new world. It's a new life.
and these old kind of new things. And there is this
Yeah,
artistic, creative aspect that I love the wildness of it.
yeah.
It
It
is
is. And
unrestrained.
I never could have guessed or predicted the level and intensity and range of responses from people when they first put this on and experience it. Like, and yes, I know there's the somatic experience because we hold emotions in our bodies, and a lot of us don't feel our bodies very well. And so just having that connection in the first place is really powerful. But I feel like it is that aspect is so lost and so gone and missing. And that is, I believe, a huge root of so much of the turmoil emotionally and mentally, and then also piles on to the physical issues that people have around the world. That when you get to tap into that and you get to have that kind of warm hug for possibly the first time in your life, that's it's almost being reborn. That's really, really powerful.
It's very powerful. And again, it touches on something that's quite distinct
Yeah.
because here's where almost all of us that have grappled with these things and the people who really respond the strongest, there is this sense of, oh, not only have we been missing this, but people keep blaming us for having problems because we're missing it. Like it's hard enough that we didn't know or couldn't feel this before, but the gaslighting is so much about we are supposed to function like quote unquote normal people when our bodies aren't functioning like normal people. So there's this deep kind of added layer. There's both the wow, this is a new world. It's so exciting to get to explore. And I feel there's a kind of grief that often comes
Yeah,
up. So people often do start to cry.
100%.
Often people will say, I don't know why I'm crying. I feel so good. And I've come to call those tears of relief.
Yeah.
This release. It's this like because I think there's also an emotional kind of validation for some people
Mhm.
of, oh, this wasn't all in my
Yeah,
head.
it's
I
not
wasn't just
my
making this
fault.
up. It's not my fault. It's not something wrong with me. It's that I wasn't able to feel this
Yeah,
before.
it
So I'm
it
going to
reminded
correct.
me of that scene in Good Will Hunting with Robin Williams when he's telling the other boys like it's not your fault. He's like blowing it up like, yeah, I know, I know. He's like, no, no, look at me now, look at me. It is not your fault.
Yeah,
And when it hits him, like that's I feel like that is this,
yeah,
like when you really internalize it is truly not my fault. And this inanimate object for it and believed and safe. That's
yeah,
it's astounding.
yeah,
Honestly,
yeah.
I still don't have
And that's
words
where
for it.
it touches something very deep.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I am so excited to see where we go and how much more we can do as we learn more about the science and the body and more with technology, the fabrics and what more can we get out of this? Because we're kind of like Iron Man of the connective tissue system here. You had to build it out in the booties in the desert to start, and now as science is getting better and better, where can we go from there? And what more can we offer and provide and really
And
open up.
I'll tell you what my vision for this is, and this has also evolved, that I grew up in the world of research. My father was a research physicist. I started out in research. That whole sense of that's how you expand human knowledge is that you
Maybe
work
addicted
on
to
things
research.
and you put it out there and other people respond and they kind of back and forth and you get this collective global understanding of the edges of human understanding. So I have this deep respect and appreciation for research. So I had for years kept trying to get Body Braid into the research world. I
Mhm.
am very pleased that, for all of my attempts to actually approach people and try to navigate that and put a lot of work into it, that never actually got anywhere. This grassroots approach of somebody who is a professor of physical therapy, who had a cohort of PhD students that she wanted to do research on the body braid. We now actually do have some published research, publishable, it's in the process, that actually shows these specifics, that out in the scientific
Mhm.
world, this is valuable. For me personally, this has also come at a time of realizing, yeah, no, but the spread is of what's happening with the body braid is not matching. Research is not leading this field. This is
No,
way
but the
being dragged
spread is
along
leading
behind.
the research. The supply and demand needs to be there for them to want to supply the research.
And what I've come to realize is that the same way that it's spreading through grassroots, I think the real effect, my vision of really feeling this is going to help make the world a better place is if we can start to get some grassroots spread in the desk worker because
Mhm.
they're not community. This is
No,
spread, yes, because there's such a community. There's such a linking about, oh, right, I deal with this and how do you deal with that? And so it all, there's no
mhm.
community of uncomfortable desk workers. It's everybody.
That's just
It's like,
global. That's just everybody. That's all of us.
totally, it is. So statistically, half of
Yeah.
the population in North America is sitting at a desk through their day. Their job
Mhm.
is sitting at a desk. That's half the population to start with, and easily half of that. So a quarter of the total working population is uncomfortable doing their work every day.
And imagine
And
if you could prevent that
slipping on,
discomfort starting ahead.
and if you could slip on this thing at the start of your shift or whenever you sit down at your desk,
Mhm.
and you had less pain and less distraction, and when you were done, you could get up and you didn't have to recuperate and you didn't need to try to cope with all the aches
You
and pains of da 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 da.
have more
That's
energy, more
where
focus.
I have shifted from thinking that research is going to lead the field of the understanding, and that's what's going to get this out in the world. The same way that the EDS community has taken it out to the hypermobile world. If there's a way of getting people that really need this to sit at their desks to start spreading in that world, I believe that would be
Yeah,
the biggest benefit to the
yeah,
world.
that would have
And
the
then you get enough of those
widest
people,
spread.
right? Because then I think you're going to get the people who are working on all this research
Mhm. Well, because racers spend a lot of time sitting at the
at their
desk
desk.
doing the research.
Right. So that's my vision of the spread. And
Yeah,
if anybody
that's,
has any ideas of getting this out into desk workers,
yep,
let us know.
yep. And it's, yeah, 100%. I mean, I may or may not, put this on my librarians over here,
Uh-huh.
and take it to all my appointments, where I work. And it's interesting. They're like, yeah, I'm not very active. I'm like, that's the point.
Yeah.
That's the point. I know
It's
you
been a real
don't hurt
challenge.
right now. Let's stop it before you start hurting
But
and
the
give you
but
some
part of the
support.
challenge is that the same way that we get a lot of people who write to say, "Can you wear the body braid under clothes?"
Yeah.
Yeah, you can.
Oh
But
yeah.
then why don't you show that on your website? Well, because if it's under the
You
clothes, you
can't
don't
see
see
it.
it.
That's why, like at the last conference, I was like half on, half off. I was wearing it all, but it was like under the
But
pants, on
on
top
terms
of
of
the shirt. You don't see it.
online, it is a real challenge that there's
Yeah,
almost nothing that
100%.
we can show about how this is going to make sitting at your desk better because
Yeah.
you barely see it. And you
It
don't, it
is,
doesn't look like it's
yeah, and
moving.
it's such a experienced
Yeah.
thing. Like, yeah, we can talk about it all day long. You can even intrinsically kind of glean some of it watching a video and like, oh, that might feel good. But like to truly, like you need to sit with it. And that's really hard to accomplish.
Yeah. So our challenge of for getting it out there is how more people can literally get that 30-second intro. They slip it on,
Mhm.
they sit down, because within a minute, somebody's going to
Mhm.
know whether this is helpful for them or not.
Yep.
Do you have another question? We're at 1:30 here.
Actually, several of our questions were answered in that
Yep.
organic run there. Let me double check here. I mean, we ended up with what our vision going is forward. And I mean, I know that we get a lot of, well, has Dr. Blair thought about this design or that development or doing it this way? And I don't know, you are constantly doing research and development and changing and looking at different design possibilities, whether it be could we get rid of the Velcro to could we have this kind of product to how can I maybe support this thing? Like I can't just wrap this around my neck. How else can I support my neck? So like I know the answers to those questions is yeah, we've been looking into it, and it's just not as black and white, cut dry answer as people would want it to be. There is a lot more to
There is
this
a lot
process.
more. I will definitely sum that up with there's a lot more. Um, for all the people have come up with this, oh, I have this really cool idea of how you could change this to this and this. Um, Not to be smug, but I haven't had a single one that I haven't been able to say, oh, yeah, I thought of that and I tried this and this and this around it. And this is what would be involved to take it into production. And because I mean, I'm obsessive. So
If it
have
were a
done
perfect world,
everything.
you didn't have to worry about the logistics of things.
So I
Wow.
have, and I actually have many, many, many prototypes of all kinds of variations of the design. This is no lack.
Yeah, we should have a
Any
museum.
one of these things could be a whole lot of different things. Um, the at, initially with this sense of a business of doing having a business and an
Yeah.
online store, I did start to spread out some of those things, and I've intentionally taken them off
Mm.
because then people get lost in, well, thinking, oh, well, I should get a this for a this or a that for a that, and which one do I get? And that's where it actually took work to actually simplify things down to, if you want to try a body braid, you get the core.
It was
That's
overwhelming.
You make it really simple. So all these other things exist as possibilities. Um, the reason they're not out there is quite intentional, and it's two-pronged. One is to make sure that everybody starts with the core
Mhm.
and you don't
You need to learn to
stretch
crawl
my
before you walk.
and that a whole lot of these other ideas, if Body Braid got big enough and widespread enough, and there we could be a team of working on this and this and this, there is lots of potential for these other products and variations. It's
Maybe
not for any of
technology
the
makes
lack
things a
the
little
design.
cheaper and more accessible, maybe. Just
Yeah,
not feasible right now.
right.
Yeah. Most of the things that are actionable and able or recommendations, I would say, that, oh, we could try this, that we're able to take action on are adapting ways of wearing it, not changing the actual design of it.
Yeah.
And that's what we have found so many new ways to support so many different things by people playing
That's
around
that's
with
the that's
that.
the intentional part of saying no, we tried to put all this so that there's a huge amount to do with this one core.
Mhm.
The different sizes is an issue, and that's why we have spread now to these extra large and extra small. The other variation on that would be a small, small, a sort of, a child size,
Mhm.
or very, very small people. Those kinds of variations would be another step. And my quest to get rid of Velcro, because since Velcro is the
Oh.
vulnerable piece of this, again, the designs are all there, but
Yep.
we are where we are now.
Is it realistic and actionable and feasible
Yeah.
in a business sense of being able to actually get it out to people at this time? Unfortunately, not yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, there's hope for the future, always hope, but not at this point in time.
Well, I will tell you, this is news even to you. The one thing that I am ready to start showing more, in part with recognizing that this is not actually going to be a product that we sell. So it's
Mhm,
the opposite. To sort of show if you're going to start with anything, you start with the core.
mhm.
One reason why I've held off the flying contraption that you can actually float around in is that almost everybody says, "Oh, that's what I want." Well,
I know
yeah,
I can't wear it around with me, but I just want to be in
sure
that.
can. Exactly. So I am ready to show this as the bauble, as the goal.
Yeah.
But to be very clear, no, you have to have got the core braid. You have to be using the core braid and
Yeah.
understand. You have to be really motivated so that it allows for that image
Yeah,
of,
it's a way
oh,
to
wow, this is possible.
yeah, to kind of visualize that internal sensation and feeling that we're getting when we're wearing this and putting it on. And
Yeah.
like that the benefit of it. Like that's just kind of like the translation into a visual sense almost. That's a
So
little easier
that's
universally.
a bit of news.
That's exciting.
Okay.
Because I'm not gonna
Another
lie, I would
question?
totally. I think that's actually pretty good for. I
Okay.
think we covered a lot today, and I feel like this has been a really great first podcast.
Okay.
And I'm really like excited to do many, many more. But I feel like if we go much farther, we're going to go into other topics that kind of deserve their own time and space.